What's up everyone? Welcome to this new video around identity. So throughout the next 3 to 4 sections, we'll take some time to reflect on who you are as a person, as a poker player, look at who you want to become. And to do that, we'll look at your past experiences, your core beliefs and values, and what guiding principles you can use to realize your full potential. So before we begin, I'd like to revisit this mental game framework that I presented earlier. And just to reinforce what I said earlier about how this framework is used to understand, it's basically what I use to understand the person, their performance context, and how they achieve their goals. And it all starts from the meaning and understanding that we attach to our past experiences. Basically here. So how we interpret our successes, our setbacks, our failures, all these will determine what we believe about ourselves. So the types of core beliefs that we have about ourselves. So over time, we develop a set of beliefs about ourselves based on these past experiences. And these beliefs will dictate what we believe to be important in life and also what we value in life. So our core values. And if you can think about values as a compass that guides our actions. So when you put these three elements together, you get a general sense of who a person is, and it's basically their identity. So these three elements, I'd say, are at the core of what makes a person who they are. And now we can look at our habits. So this section over here, which is basically our actions, and they are simply explained a reflection of our identity, of our core beliefs and values. So our habits will be a reflection of what our core values are, of what our core beliefs are about ourselves. So basically our identity, what we believe about ourselves. And these habits, basically, they will lead to a certain set of performance standards or performance indicators that are measurable against yourself. So if you would take a traditional sport like the 100 meter, your habits around your training regimen, your physical training, your technical training to run faster will lead to a certain standard of performance, like I'll be able to run the 100 meter under 10 seconds. And if I'm able to set this kind of standards of running under 10 seconds, maybe I'll reach a certain goal or results like winning a gold medal at the Olympics, for example. So the types of habits that you develop over time will dictate the performance or your performance standards or performance level, which will inevitably lead to certain outcome goals or results, depending on how good you are at what you do. So in poker, that could be your performance standards, could be your BB per 100, your win money when soft flop, just your general skill set. And those standards of performance will lead to certain outcomes when you compete. So that will probably dictate who you play against, depending on how good you are and the amount of return, ROI, BB per 100 that you're able to get at the table. So if we maybe give a more specific example from poker, let's say my habit is to study 5 hours a week or 10 hours, whatever, then maybe I can expect that those habits over time will lead to an increase in my BB per 100. And if I increase my BB per 100, I can expect to have a better return when I play or make more profits, for example. And similarly, let's say my habit this time is around volume, so playing 5 or 6 days a week, then if I have the habit of playing that many hours, then I'll probably reach a certain level of hands, tournaments I play in a week or in a month, and that amount of volume over time will lead to certain results in terms of realizing my EV, realizing my potential at poker. So hopefully that makes more sense. And everything that is above here, the identity, is basically the identity will influence the types of habits and probably the types of goals that we set ourselves. And mind you, I'm not pretending that like this is the perfect framework, but I'm trying to present something of my own understanding of how I approach and understand people and their context of performance. So if you can come up with your own conclusion about this or your own interpretation, that would be awesome. So like, how do you interpret what I've just shown you? How do these elements influence each other? Maybe you have a different understanding, but as long as you're reflecting right now on how these variables influence each other, you're already doing some reflective work, which will most likely help you grow and improve as a player. So now let's look at this from a slightly different perspective, or just like a same framework, but different image here. So you basically have your identity, so who you think you are, that will influence the types of habits and action that you will take in your life. Like if I believe I'm not disciplined, then I won't make any effort to study or to work. I won't make any efforts to be disciplined. That's not who I am as a person. And similarly, because of those beliefs about myself, then I probably won't set any goals that are going in an opposite direction. So if I believe that I'm not a disciplined person, then I won't set, or my goals will be set around the type of person I believe I am instead of around the person I believe I can be. So if I try to frame this differently, I see myself as a hardworking, disciplined person. Let's say that's my identity. Then maybe I'll set a goal of studying and playing almost every day. But if I believe I'm not disciplined enough to do this, then I'll never set that goal or that objective for myself. So in other words, your identity can hold you back. If you believe you're not the type of person who works hard, if you believe you're not the type of person that is good at math, so these things can hold you back. Or your identity can also build you up. So I'm the type of person who puts in the hours. I'm the type of person that does not give up when I face an obstacle. So these beliefs can be uplifting as well. And like I've said just earlier, your identity influence the habits that you'll develop, or the system that you'll develop over time. So I'm not the type of person who makes effort, then you won't put the time in your studying. Or I'm the type of person that puts in the hour, then you'll build the habits of studying daily. But what we can look at also is how your identity also influences the types of goal that you set for yourself. Also, if you're going to achieve them or not. This is something that I've just mentioned earlier. However, what's interesting is that if you'd like to cultivate or develop a new aspect of your identity, you could actually start by developing the habits that the type of person that do these actions would do. So over time, by doing the habits, you'll develop certain outcomes or results that will start to confirm or become kind of a proven record that you are this type of person. So slowly you will start to believe that you are the type of person that is disciplined, that studies based on the types of habits that you developed over time. So you could start with the habits, look for some outcomes, and hopefully this reinforces an identity that you're looking for, something that you're looking to become as a person. So that's why it's important not to ignore your past successes, your setbacks, your failures, because they too will determine how you see yourself. Like if the amount of times you've failed at math growing up, that will definitely have a certain influence on how you see yourself and how you see your abilities to develop some skills related to math, for example. So if we think of ourselves as failures, there's little chance that we'll take any actions to prove that wrong. We'll just live our lives as victims of our situation. So let me give you a concrete example. So I have a friend who believes that they are always late. So that's not related to poker. So they believe they are always late. So guess what? They don't make any efforts to change that, because they have accepted that this is who they are. And so unless they change their habits, or unless they set themselves a specific goal like arriving on time someday, then they'll never change that part of their identity. The arriving late will always confirm that this is the type of person they are, and not changing any habits or the system that they have will always confirm that this is the type of person that always arrives late at an appointment. So I think you get the picture here. So let's try to look at this from a perspective of poker. And I like to use studying as an example because this is something that some players find dreadful, or they think about their experiences at school and they say, I never liked studying at school, so I don't like studying at poker. So let's say you never were the type of person who enjoyed studying. Most likely your habits are aligned with that identity, which means you probably don't make any efforts in studying, or not more than necessary. And you probably don't set any goals to study a lot, which leads to no progress in your game, or little progress in your game. So this is a feedback loop where every element reinforces the other. No progress in your game, probably the idea that you don't like studying, or that this is not something for you because you don't have any good system in place. Then same thing, studying for you is not enjoyable, so you're going to try to find another approach to get better at the game. Maybe it's going to be playing a lot or checking some videos. But the point here is your identity leads to the types of habits that you'll develop, and the outcomes or results that you get will influence how you understand yourself. And what's even more interesting is, even if you give yourself a certain goal, so instead of no progress in your game because you don't have a goal, let's say you give yourself the goal of studying X amount of time this week because you want to become someone who likes studying. So I like studying. But if you give yourself that goal, but you don't change anything about your habits, anything about your system, there's almost no chance that this will lead to a different outcome. So it won't lead to an outcome where you like studying. It won't lead to an outcome where you learn things, because you don't change the habits or the systems that you have in place. So you don't you don't prioritize studying in your schedule. You don't put some time for this activity. So obviously, if you just wait for a moment where you feel like it, you won't study, and that will come back to reinforce your previous identity of not enjoying study. And so everything I've said here to this point might be demotivating, but don't give up yet don't give up about your identity if you feel like there's things that you'd like to change, because in one of the sections, we'll dive deeper into how we can actually build habits from the ground up. So this is where I think the value is, or this is where we can get the most out of the work that you'll be doing. Working on building habits from the ground up. So slowly building your desired identity by doing some small efforts enough that they lead to certain outcomes, so positive outcomes. And these small wins, these small successes will reinforce actually an identity that you're looking to become. So this was just basically a long explanation to make the following statement. You can shape your identity by developing certain habits. You can try to get some small successes, some small wins that will confirm the identity that you're trying to build. And so by taking the actions and seeing some results for your effort, then you'll start to believe in your new identity. So this is what we're striving or looking to develop, the identity of a poker player, whatever that means for you. And how we're going to build it, we're going to try to develop some habits that will confirm this is the type of person I am. And we'll also try to build some wins, some successes in your journey so that it reinforces the identity that you're looking to become, and so that it's also enjoyable and satisfying, so that the journey is satisfying and not just waiting for the results. All right. Last thing I wanted to explore in this section is this idea of change. So what contributes to change? What leads to change in your identity? So first, you need to identify where you are and where you want to go. And then you need to sacrifice or let go of old beliefs that you have about yourself. So most likely the beliefs that you held on for a long time, but these beliefs might be holding you down instead of lifting you up. So we're looking to let go of these beliefs. And it might sound weird, but the first step is to first accept that you can change, that your situation is not fixed, and that this is something that you can improve upon. Because this is the only way you'll start thinking about things differently, if you're able to let go of past beliefs that you have about yourself. And in order to let go of past beliefs, then you have to identify new uplifting beliefs. So beliefs that will be helpful in your journey. So let me give you some examples. I'm the type of person who puts effort in studying poker. Maybe that's who you want to become. I'm the type of person who takes my career seriously. So what does that look like in terms of habits? Or I'm the type of person who always finishes what they start. So just giving you a couple of ideas of around basically who you want to become, but also like what's your definition of success? So what does it look like, and what are the actions that you can put in place? So that's the last point. So put the new beliefs into actions. So we're changing our habits, we're changing our system, changing our approach, which will lead to small changes, some small wins over time. So to keep the example of studying from earlier, the type of person who puts efforts in studying, well, maybe they start small with 10 or 15 minutes every day. So that's a new habit. And this habit might lead to learning new poker concepts, which reinforces your identity of a student of the game. So you see how these three variables interact and work together. So I hope this helped in creating a new perspective around what makes you who you are, and also how these many variables interact between each other to form your identity, the habit that you'll take on a daily basis, and also the types of goals that you pursue in your life. So see you in the next video, and take care.